Oh, you're first, Cameron. Oh, there, Jason, blah, blah. Yeah. How you doing, guys? Yeah, I thought I'd just jump on here live just for a little bit and see if you guys have some questions or what you want to talk about or whatever. Can you hear me fine? So people are starting to come in now. Yeah. Hey, yeah, it's been a while since I did a live chat, so I figured I'd just trying to jump on here tonight and yeah. Yeah, good. You can hear me fine? Good. Okay, great. Just making sure. Not that I'm going to say anything important anyway, but you never know. You never know. Some genius might come out of me at some point. You never know. Most of it's crap, but something might come out, so you want to be able to hear that. So how's everybody doing? How's the training going? How's things? Camry V6 SE. I don't talk about that stuff because this is a natural drug-free bodybuilding channel, so it's really not really relevant. So, but I'd recommend you don't do what you're doing because I don't think that that's really a good idea. But hey, it's your life. Hey, Winter Nera, how you doing? Yeah. Thanks, Camry. Thanks, buddy. Okay, Montfit, you have a question? Yeah. What's your question? Just shoot. What's the question? And thanks a lot to the Patreon supporters. Anyway, just before I get into this, thanks a lot to the Patreon supporters that are supporting this channel because they're making this sort of thing possible, right? So they're supporting this channel. So thanks a lot, guys. And yeah, I'll continue to do these live chats from time to time to help you out. But yeah, these guys are paying the rent. You know, they're helping out. So, is it possible to build muscle without a calorie surplus? I would say no. I mean, a calorie surplus at some point, because if you're burning off all of the calories, and the thing is, you know, the funny thing is I've never measured calories my whole life when I've been training. I never measured them. But there will be times, just so you know, when you're training where you almost feel like you're going through a growth spurt and maybe your appetite goes up for a period of time. And I think that these are the times that maybe your body's just talking to you and telling you it does need some extra calories in order to recover or in order to basically build the muscle that you've stimulated. You've stimulated and broken down enough muscle, and then your body finally has that anabolic response where it says, okay, that's it. I'm going to make a push. I'm going to actually gain some muscle. And it will tell you to put in some more calories. Now, there's different ways to approach this. Some people force this by saying, I'm going to create an anabolic environment by forcing more food into the body. So that way it never feels it's under starvation. And if the body never feels it's under starvation, then it feels like, okay, putting on muscle isn't a risk to my survival because the body's thinking survival first and foremost. And its set point, metabolically speaking, is based on survival, saying, okay, I have this much calories coming in. I can't afford to have a faster metabolism if I can't raise those calories. Now, there's an argument to be said, and I don't know for sure, you know, but I've found that different foods seem to react differently in your body, and some calories seem to have a higher ability to create a certain effect in your body than others. So not all calories are created equal. So I wouldn't concentrate too much on counting calories, but basically watching what you eat and eating enough so that you have energy in your workouts and you're getting a pump, but you're not putting excessive amounts of body fat on. And finding that happy medium, I think, is more useful rather than just following a blueprint and saying, okay, the calorie chart and just sticking to that. It might be good to start with that just so you can kind of have an idea, but I don't think it's great to get stuck too much in the calorie game. I never did. Maybe, you know, one could argue maybe I would have got better results. I don't know, but I think it's better to be in touch with the sensations of the body and the different biofeedback that you're getting. What results am I getting? What's happening in my body? Am I gaining fat? Am I getting muscle tissue? Am I gaining strength? Or am I just basically, you know, putting on a bunch of body fat from what I'm eating? You know, and these are things that I took into consideration because a lot of guys would be like, oh, you got to bulk up and this and that. And as soon as I would bulk up or eat lots of fat foods and this and that, I would always just be tired. And when I go to the gym, I felt like just crap, even though I'm eating the typical bulk up foods with lots of protein, but eating lots of carbs and fats. It felt like my body was going into storage mode and I wasn't actually having better workouts from it. And funny enough, I was getting injured more often because of the amount of fat and carbs I was taking in was offsetting some of the protein that I was taking in, because I was like, oh, okay, because you start to eat these foods that you like, and then your protein starts to go down. And then actually my recovery was going down. So that kind of goes against the general sort of idealism out there. We're like saying, oh, when you bulk and you eat all this fat and all this carbs, your joints should be more lubricated and everything should feel better. I was actually feeling worse. So it's going to be about the individual as well. So you're going to have to experiment with this, right? Okay, let me just scroll up here. Yeah, high reps are great. High reps, low reps. I believe in mixing up. So some people say, a person that's doing power training their whole life, they're like, Jason's just a high rep guy. And then another person that sees me says, oh, Jason, you're doing low reps with this exercise, or you're doing, you're only doing sets of 5 or 6 or 7 reps with this exercise. So you're a low rep guy. The thing is, you need to mix them up, and the combination will be different for each person. Some people respond really well to high reps most of the time, and then some people respond really well to lower reps most of the time. Again, it's more about getting that relationship with your body and finding out what is the perfect mixture for you. But if you're getting injured all the time, or if you're just stagnant, like it seems like you never get results, and you're in the prime of your life, you're in your 20s and stuff, all your hormones and everything are working great, and you're still not getting results, then maybe you're doing something wrong. Maybe you're doing a range of motion where you're just bouncing on the tendons all day, but you're not necessarily challenging the muscle bellies. That's a possibility, because that happens a lot with a lot of people. I find they just bounce on the joints all day long, but they're not necessarily getting results. Or they're resting too much. Like, I see it with one arm dumbbell curls all the time. Guys just rest at the bottom with the dumbbell curl and then lifts the other arm, then rests at the bottom and up, but they're not using any sort of constant tension principles on the muscle. So that could also be a problem. But a lot of it can be just rep ranges. You're using the wrong rep ranges, or too much of the wrong rep range for you, right? So if I know for a fact, if I just do sets of 50 all the time, I don't gain an ounce of muscle. I lose muscle doing that. So I've also seen other people, though, do super slow reps and do these 2-hour, 3-hour workouts and gain lots of muscle. So again, it's going to be based on your genetics and a little bit of how you're built. My cat's asking to go out, so I'm just going to let her out the door here. 1 second. My cat gets bored by bodybuilding talk. Just, I don't understand what's wrong with the cat. I mean, you think bodybuilding and stuff would be interesting, but apparently it's not relevant. Okay, Bill Drunk, he's saying, I don't have any videos on core and abs development because it's not necessary. That's the thing. It's not necessary. I know a lot of bodybuilders and a lot of people that train abs that basically get nothing but lower back problems from it. And then other people that don't train abs at all and they have wicked looking abs. Abs are all about fat loss. If you want to have that ab look, it's always about how much body fat you're holding. It's not about training the abs. Now, second of all, when you're training with overhead presses, or you're doing squats, you're doing Romanian deadlifts or deadlifts, you're doing these whole body movements, you are already working the core. Or when you're doing heavy tricep press downs, you're already working the abs. You're actually squeezing the abs to make sure that you're not, hyperextending your back as you're pressing down or squeezing down that weight on the tricep press down. So you don't need to do ab work really unless your sport demands it. I'm not saying not to. I mean, again, everybody's got their own individual needs. So if you find that that's a weak link for you, even though you've been doing the press downs, even though you've been doing the squats, well, maybe go ahead and do the abs. But I found that most problems with people isn't about, most of the time, it's not about a weak ab development. It's not weak ab development. It's more that they are unable to keep their lower back in the proper position when they're squatting. Like, they're not keeping it slightly arched, or when they're in a bent over row, they're rounded too much. And they basically have the posterior chain is weak. It's not necessarily the abs. But then other people, they have a hyper arch, then yeah, maybe they have more of an ab weakness, and perhaps they need to address that with some lower abs and things, but that's never been my problem. And I did do periods of time where I trained abs, but I found, because I want my abs strong when I'm doing squats, because I want my abs to stabilize the lower back, I don't want them to be fatigued when I go to do those big lifts. I want my abs to be working perfectly, so that way they stabilize my spine properly. But that's me, right? So I found that doing abs almost took away from that and almost posed an injury risk for me sometimes. But that could be my own individual body. But that's why you don't see me do abs, and I don't need to. It never seemed to really help. It seemed to hinder my progress from a bodybuilding point of view, really. War tactics. It's your birthday. Happy birthday, man. Happy birthday. Another Sagittarius. What's my favorite shoulder exercise? Okay. I mean, it depends. To do shoulder press. Shoulder press is my favorite exercise to do because it's just, I just like it. I just did some standing shoulder presses in the garage, and I like to keep the constant tension here and then here and then here and here, and just keep that just pumping on the delt, because when I come up and then go back like this, then I start to engage the trap and the neck muscles and scalenes and everything. And I find that detracts from my shoulder work, and I kind of like this comfort zone right in here with the front delts. So that would be my favorite exercise. But the one that I find is most effective for building the round delts and stuff is the bent over rear lateral raise. So basically I'm either on a bench or I'm just bent over and I'm doing a rear lateral raise. So I'm externally rotating as I come back, right? But at the same time, I'm also retracting the spine, retracting the shoulders. And when I'm retracting the shoulders, I'm getting a little bit of rotator cuff work as well as rear delt work. But yeah, that's basically what I like to get. I like to do both. Those two are my two favorite exercises. I combine them up quite a bit, and that helps get that roundness as well as some rehabilitation on the shoulder. Okay, so Calvin Unrow, he says, it seems like he's stronger when he's a little fluffy. Well, yeah, there's going to be a certain amount of body fat that's going to help you, and then there's going to be a certain amount of body fat that's just going to go against you. But yeah, there's a reason why strong men are built like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I mean, they're built like that partially because of, probably the stuff they're using in order to get to that big in strength level, right? But the other thing is that just body weight itself assists you with lifting more weight, right? Because then the weight is not moving you around. You don't have to stabilize yourself so much. So then because you're not using that energy on stabilizing yourself, you're able to push the weight more, so it's more smooth, right? So you'll notice that when you're fat, especially your upper body movements like chest and stuff, you're definitely going to get stronger in those movements. I found with leg movements when I was fatter, I didn't necessarily get stronger in those ones. It seemed to affect the upper body more so, but again, that might be just me. Drew Davies, what do I think of working out for 2 hours of really long workouts? I think anything is good to shock the system. Like sometimes I'll do 10 sets of one exercise, and if I feel like my body's there. But I think the key to everything is being in touch with what your body is telling you that day. Like we've all had those days where you have tons of energy, and then we've had those days where there's no energy, and it seems like you're just beating a dead horse. You're working out, but like nothing's really happening, and it seems like you're just trying to get a pump, or you're trying to basically feel the muscle, but it seems like you're weak and nothing's really working. So paying attention first and foremost to what's happening in your body. You're eating your diet as much as, you're paying attention to your food, you're paying attention to your sleep, you're paying attention to your stress levels and everything. But then when you go to the gym, now it's time to be in the moment again and say, okay, no matter what I've done, what is happening? Right? Because it's a common problem for people to go in the gym and say, oh, I did all the right things, so therefore I should be squatting 500 pounds for reps today, no matter what. And then, of course, they go to that weight and they didn't feel right about it, and then they tweak something or something doesn't work. So that was definitely my mistake back in the day. I would have this idea in my mind, and no matter what, I followed through and called that discipline. But really, it was a form of stupidity, because sometimes my body would be giving me warning signs not to lift the weight a certain way or something. And then, of course, you'd snap something or tweak something. Now, I'm not saying you're always going to know this, but the more your awareness grows and the more you are in tune with what's happening, then the more you'll know when to push and when not to push. And I do find that sometimes pushing the boundaries on something is great. Like I did a playlist down below. If you look in my playlist section, there's a series called Pushing the Limits, where I trained the same body part every day for so many days in a row, did whole body workouts and stuff just to shock the system. And then there were other workouts where I do 10 sets of inclines or 15 sets for chest. And even though I'm going to train the body every 2 days for a while, but you can only do that for so long. And then you have to kind of come back and let the body recover a bit. So it's this breathing out and breathing in sort of thing. But I have an interesting story based on my wife. My wife is a world-renowned energetic healer and spiritual coach and things. And she basically said to me one time when I came back from the gym, and it was one night where I did a particularly high amount of squats. I did about 8 or 9 sets with 405 for squats. I felt like pushing the amount of volume that I was doing. And when I came home, she didn't know what I did, but she could actually feel, she said, I could feel in your body that you did something and it switched something to cause growth. Like she could feel that I did enough work to hit a switch of some sort. So there will be these opportunities to push yourself to hit that switch, but you can't do it all the time because then you'll just burn out and overtrain. So yeah, so I do believe that doing extra long workouts once in a while is not a bad thing. It's just a matter of, is the energy there for you to do it, right? So if you're burning out from doing it, obviously it's going to be counterproductive. Thanks, Robot Junior, for being a big fan of the channel. I know some of you guys have been, tuning in quite a bit. I've been trying to do a video every second day, if not every day. So, make sure you keep tuning in and don't pay attention to YouTube too much because YouTube's not really giving you guys notifications. So make sure you check in with the Natural Gallant Bodybuilding channel on your own because we can't trust YouTube anymore. It seems like they're just doing something random. I don't even know why they even get people to subscribe because a lot of times they don't even let them know when you put up a video. So so thanks a lot for being loyal and keep on checking in and sharing my stuff. So that really helps. Okay, Winter Nero saying he's doing a few sets of neutral grip chin-ups during every single workout now. What do I think of that? He's doing proper calisthenic form for sets of 7 at this moment. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I mean, how do you feel from it? That's the most important thing to ask, right? But if you're only doing sets of 7, it's a power exercise for you, 100%. So yeah, if you feel good though, go nuts. I mean, I do like to do certain exercises almost every day, but once you start to feel like your joints are getting inflamed, or maybe your muscles are extremely sore. Like I squatted 2 days in a row, and then on the 3rd day, there was no way I was squatting again because my legs were so sore. It just felt like a traffic accident waiting to happen. So I said, screw it, I'll take a day off. So yeah, go with how you feel. But if you're not getting super sore and everything, yeah, keep doing it and see where it leads you, right? But just pay attention to your body as you go. How often do I do squats? I do squats once or twice a week. But I train legs about 3 times a week when everything's going well and I feel like I'm, pushing my workouts and stuff and everything feels right. Then I'm training legs about 3 times a week. So I'll squat once to twice a week, and then I'll mix in lunges and Romanian deadlifts in between, and different types of lunges. So one-legged squat or a walking lunge, or sometimes leg presses. If my lower back is really tired from doing squats and Romanian deadlifts, then I'll throw in a leg press day as well. Cool, Jack. Thanks for letting me know he gets all the notifications. Thanks, Jack. Yeah. Hey, Tristan and Mike R. How you doing, buddy? Okay. So if I don't give you guys a shout out or talk to you, it's not because I'm not seeing you. It's just that I sometimes watch some of these live videos on YouTube, and when people are just sitting there talking to people and giving shout outs, it's pretty boring to watch. So I'm trying to make sure I'm answering questions here to make it at least captivating for you. Super captivating. I need to have some music like da 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 da. And then it's captivating. You never know what the answer is going to be, right? Okay, so okay, that way, bruv, I need to eat a lot to put on more muscle, fat metabolism, but I dislike the feeling of expanding my belly. Yeah, you don't need to get super fat in order to put on muscle, regardless of what people tell you. If you're putting on a ton of fat in order to gain 1 pound of muscle, you're putting on 70 pounds of fat. That's there's something wrong there. I mean, it's. And I've seen a lot of bodybuilders over the years that would look great on stage, and they in the off season put on 10 pounds above their on stage weight, or 20 pounds. Say they're 5'8" or 5'9", but then I'd see other guys, they'd bulk up like 60 pounds over the body weight they're on stage, and I'm looking at them when they get on stage. It's just they're 160 pounds. They bulk up to 240 or something. It's like, whoa, man, where did all the muscle mass go? So in most cases, okay, you shouldn't have to put on massive amounts of body fat in order to gain muscle. If you do, then I think there may be a better way or more efficient way for you to do this. So keep on trying to find that perfect diet where your blood sugar is stable and everything, because really what you want to do is feed the body enough protein so that it recovers, but you don't need to overfeed the fat stores. I mean, feeding the fat stores is not really doing much for the muscle mass. So okay, who else is here? Okay, so Jason, the fatness expert. I hate saying these guys. When you have like troll type names, I don't like saying it because then it looks like I'm trolling somebody. I don't like to troll somebody. So Anyway, this guy's saying, I also noticed that after training sessions with high reps, the muscle stays full for a couple of days. Is that swelling or blood in the muscle? Yes, it's blood and glycogen storage, right? You're storing glycogen because the body burned up its energy stores and then it's saturating up with the glycogen again. But the best thing is also to have high rep days and low rep days where you're doing the heavy weights, you're hitting those different muscle fibers, and then you're doing the high rep days, so you're pumping all that blood in there and then helping the recovery for those fast twitch fibers when you do heavy again. So that's why I think there's a real big benefit to this synergism that happens when you mix those rep ranges up. Cool, thanks Saul Strickland, thank you. Thanks for letting me know it notified you. Okay, Winter Nero music, okay. You're saying, will I do a video showing the process of making my own music? One of these days I might. I don't see myself as an expert in that industry. So it's kind of one of those things where, you know, every time I do a video, the amount of effort that goes into making a video, I have to say, okay, are enough people interested in that video on this channel, or am I going to make people mad? Because even with my humor videos or with my serious information videos, or sometimes just my training vlogs or day in the life vlogs, there's a certain percentage of people that like them and then a certain percentage of people that hate them. So then they unsubscribe or stop watching because then they think, okay, every channel or every video is going to be this boring, right? So I try to make sure I stay to the theme as much as I can, although I deviate. You know, you'll see me do some sort of creative sort of a liberation. I take liberties, okay? I take liberties with my creativity here and there just to keep things different for you guys. That's why you don't really see me doing a system of live stuff or doing this or doing that. I'm trying to find that happy medium in here. Sometimes goofy humor, sometimes it's just information, sometimes it's a stupid comment Saturday. I try to mix it up so that way you never know what's going to come, because I think that makes the channel a little bit more valuable to you because you just don't know what's going to happen, right? Because it doesn't matter how good somebody's content is on YouTube. If you start to know, oh, this is what it's going to be again, it's always going to be the same crap, then you'll stop really watching because it's boring. Because I know there are a few people that I used to watch and I said, okay, well, every time they have this formula, it just gets boring to me, and then I stop watching it. I'll say, okay, I'll just go watch Netflix instead, right? So I'm trying to mix things up sometimes. So thanks a lot for you. Well, thanks a lot to you guys who have stuck around and actually watched me through different videos. Some might be cringeworthy, some are actually okay. So it's only through playing around that I can kind of change up the content. But as far as music goes, it's a little bit too off track sometimes. That's not a pun though, off track. Do you get it? Music track, off track. So basically, I will try to do something at some point when I feel there's enough people that want to see that. So just so you know. Oh yeah, buy my music. Okay, I rambled too much there. Sorry about that. Okay, David Alicia or Aleshe or Alicia. Okay, should we oftentimes change up the tempo of our workouts? If you're meaning rest time in between sets, yeah, that's a good idea. I find that if you do too short a rest time though with really heavy weight, especially if you're including a lot of the stabilizer muscles such as lower back, like so deadlifts and squats, I would never, ever, ever make the rest time really, really short. And the reason why is because if you have a lower back muscle that gives out too early, then it's not stabilizing the spine and then you're risking an injury. So I find that the big mistake some people make with rest time is that they think some of these compound movements, oh, who cares, I don't need the rest. And then they start to cheat the weight up. They start to round the back as they come up and everything because they're trying to treat it like a cardio workout. And sometimes when you break form in certain exercises, it's very unforgiving. So I would not use the squat or the deadlift as a form of cardio with really short rest time, unless you're using excessively lightweight. If you're using really lightweight, then maybe you can get away with it. But if you're using moderate to heavyweight, I would never do really short rest times on those exercises, just because you want to make sure your form is correct. Otherwise, you will pop something, and you don't want that, because one pop can be 10 years of pain, if not a lifetime. So you just want to be careful with that. That's all. But changing the tempo up is good. As a general rule, if you're going to do faster tempos, like just 30-second rest or something like that, then you want to kind of stick to medium weights, medium heavy, not super heavy. You want to basically be in the 15 to 40 rep range or something like that. Don't be doing like 3 rep strain sets and only taking 30 seconds in between sets. I think that's another risk as well. Okay, Digweed's saying he has some mild tendonitis on his elbow. Any tips on how to recover quickly? Any workarounds? Well, one thing is check to see if your tricep has any trigger points in it. You might have some muscle knots in your tricep, and you might have some muscle knots in your rotator cuff muscles or your neck. that's radiating down to your rotator cuff and then down to the elbow. So, massage, I always recommend massage therapy. I know I sound like a broken record, but this is a great way to see if some of those things are causing that, because there can be these compensations that move from the neck outwards or from the neck down that cause a certain tendonitis. The other thing is, how heavy are you lifting? Are you lifting super heavy in the gym? Are you straining a lot? Because if you're straining a lot, sometimes the weak link will show itself and you need to basically lighten the weight for a period of time. Also, are you doing heavy skull crushers? If you're doing heavy skull crushers, that's something I talked about. Isolation exercises should be lighter, not heavy. If you do too heavy on the elbows, you will get some tendonitis, especially the overhead tricep extension. People go heavy on this, like 5 reps or something, and then they are walking around with elbow sleeves on all the time, and they're wondering why. Well, I mean, that's just a movement that's just begging for disaster, right? It's not meant to be a super heavy movement, because there's nowhere where the force can go besides on the elbow. And if something's not feeling right, then that's it, snapola, right? So keep your heavy movements more to the compounds, not to the isolations. As a general rule, I'm not saying I don't break that rule from time to time, but as a general rule, if you're noticing you're getting some tendonitis, look at your isolation movements you're doing for triceps and see if you are going too heavy or if you're doing too excessive range of motion. And yeah, address the knots or the flexibility in the muscle bellies around that area and see if that helps too. Oh, you're welcome, Renan, Frederick. Yeah, you're welcome for the videos. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, man. And hey, Kung Fu Kickboxer, how you doing, brother? Yeah. Yeah, Mike R. fasting, Mike P. fasting is another, everybody, there's always somebody that asks me about fasting. And oh yeah, Bruce Bonson, thanks for the $10. Thanks a lot, Bruce. I didn't give you a shout out right away for that, but sorry about that. But thanks a lot for that. I appreciate that. Okay, so fasting, I don't agree with fasting for me. I mean, there could be a number of different reasons though why fasting might work. I mean, there is some research to support it. I'm always about the individual. So it depends what's going on in your individual body. And if something's going on in there where fasting seems to help offset whatever's going on, then maybe that's the thing. But for me, whenever I went 4 or 5 hours without eating, and then I'd eat, and then I wouldn't get enough food in, I couldn't get enough food in, and at the same time I found my blood sugar be up and down. It just was not the right way for me to eat, and I found that I was going to the gym weaker and flatter. So as a general rule, I found fasting didn't work for me. But that doesn't mean you. I mean, if you're finding you're getting results, if you're gaining in strength, you're gaining in lean muscle tissue, you know, whatever works, man. that's what I always say. Like, if it's working, then stick with it until it doesn't work. And then from there, look at, okay, maybe there's something I need to change here. That's the best advice I can give you. Because like I said, there's been so many times where I'm like arguing with people on the internet about what's right for myself. And some of the arguments they come up with are quite convincing because they got this research or that research, but a lot of times the research that they're quoting has no idea of the other variables that are going on inside my body. So it's not necessarily relevant. So for me, with my own anecdotal evidence in my life, saying fasting doesn't work for me doesn't mean that your situation might not demand that sort of thing. So yeah, keep doing it if it works. Okay, let me see here. What else here? Okay, Renan Frederick, he'll buy my music because he likes. He wants to know my music influences. You know what? I don't know. I think my music influence is inability or limitation. That's really it. So, but I like Deadmau5. I like Deadmau5. Deadmau5 is awesome. Like, I like that kind of stuff. I would love to aspire to be able to do music like that. That music is just great. It's just pumping. I like that high energy, and I think it really works well with working out. And I do like the vibe. Like, sometimes I don't feel like making a video. I don't really feel like talking about training. I don't really feel like showing workout tips or anything like that. But when I make music, it pumps me up in order to actually make a video, because I find that I enjoy how sound integrates with the visuals and things. So yeah, I'd say Deadmau5 is a really big influence, as much as I don't have a lot of his music or anything, but every time I listen to it, I really enjoy it. So that type of genre really is something enjoyable to me. Okay, what are my thoughts on people that say you can eat anything you want as long as you count calories? I'd say those people are not necessarily telling the truth. Those people are either blessed with a good metabolism or genetics or something like that. But I've watched a guy that was unnatural, okay? And he was telling me that. He was spouting it all day and night. He goes, oh yeah, you don't have to worry about calories or any of the macros. You don't have to worry about anything. As long as the calories are at a certain level, you lose body fat and you'll show up in shape. Well, he showed up like a fat monster for a bodybuilding show. Like he just watery and looked like a pillow. Like pillows had more ab development than he had when he showed up, because he'd be drinking his glass of wine and be having his avocado and doing this and that. And he was saying, oh, all macros are the same. Who cares? It's just calories. He showed up looking like shit. And that's a fact. So I've watched it. I've watched people say that all macros are the same. It's just calories. It's not. It's not even close. If it is, then just eat a bag of sugar every day. Just hit your calorie requirement from sugar and watch what happens to you. Everybody knows that wouldn't work. Everybody knows that would make you look like a fat mess. So that said, why is that not the norm then? Why are people not just saying, hey, I'll have 5 packs of Skittles and that's how I'm going to get ready for my bodybuilding show? They don't do that. There's a reason, because it's not working. I'd love to eat just 4 packs of Skittles a day and then show up in shape for whatever, right? Wouldn't that be a better alternative than having to eat dry chicken or broccoli and stuff? I mean, every bodybuilder would love that, but they don't do it. You know why? Because it doesn't work. That's why. Daniel Stanley, have I ever noticed any benefits of super high protein, 400 grams plus a day? I've noticed that there is a point to where higher protein works, and then there's a point of diminishing return where you just get the shits and it just doesn't, you're just crapping it out. It's not doing anything. So I would say if you have too much, then there's a point of diminishing return. But you do need to hit more than sometimes what they recommend. It depends, right? So I'd say a gram per pound of body weight. Yeah, that could be good, but I've noticed that 250 to 300 grams, sometimes I actually get more muscle pumps and I look much bigger really quick. It's just that I can't discipline myself enough to do that. So I'm not as disciplined as I should be sometimes with the protein intake. Working out without ego, how? I don't know what you're asking there, Eric Ortiz. Okay. Can you work out chest for 3 days in a row for growth if you take it easy? Yeah, of course you can. I work out chest 3 days in a row. Sometimes one day I'll do inclines, and then another day I'll do flat, and then another day I'll do more like isolation movements or something, or maybe I'll do flat 2 days in a row and then inclines on the other day. You can definitely train chest 3 days in a row. But again, always pay attention to how do you feel. If your chest feels like it's broken glass in there, that is definitely not a day you want to be doing heavy weight, right? That's definitely not a day you want to be going super heavy or really ballistic, like just swinging that weight one way or another. So listen to what's happening in your tendons, in your joints, how you're feeling, and then from there you make the decision of what type of training you will do that day. That's the key. So if you're really sore, then maybe you want to do a little bit of a slower repetition, or maybe a lighter weight that day, or maybe a different angle where you're not feeling quite so sore. But you take these things into consideration as you decide. Well, thanks, Rena and Frederick. Thanks for the donation. Wow. What do I think about dantians? I don't know what dantians are there, Rena, so you're going to have to ask me. I'm going to have to get some elaboration on what a dantian is. So maybe it's a spell check or autocorrect thing. I don't know. But yeah, just post it again here and I'll answer you. Okay. I'm just scrolling up, guys. Sorry about this. It's just a little bit of a tedious process. Okay, how to get big if your average body size, and how to break biceps plateau and reverse pyramid training and split routine or push-pull workout. Okay, so if you guys are going to ask me questions, make sure you make the question specific rather than just kind of going on a run-on sentence or something. So that way it's easier for me to answer. How to get big if your average body size and how to break biceps plateau. First of all, you change things up. That's how you break through plateaus. You don't do the same thing over and over again. Just look at what you've done in the last month or two, and then, okay, if nothing's changed, then that means something needs to change. If your body's not changing, that means your training needs to change or your diet needs to change. It's that simple. So change is the word. That's the operative word here. So if something's not happening, then something needs to happen. Something needs to kind of be shifted around. Now, sometimes it's something as simple as exercise technique. Sometimes it's the exercise itself. I've seen lots of guys work biceps, but they're working more their forearms, but they're not necessarily working the brachii or the bicep that they want in order to get a peak on, right? Now, of course, a lot of this is genetic. Peak is genetic. But if you want to put on size in the bicep, you definitely need to work this part, not this part, not the part that crosses the forearm here, right? That's not the part you want to work. If you want to get this kind of looking different, then yeah, that's what you train. But if you want this to look different, you need to train this. It makes sense, right? So I find a lot of times people oversimplify things. And as you've noticed on this channel, people oversimplify like crazy. They say, oh yeah, Jason, you got to do this. And that's the truth, because it applies to everyone. Everything is just this one simple truth. It's like everybody is supposed to, I don't know, be 5'8". You know, like they just apply oversimplified idealism on things because they're looking at things like a kindergartner, right? They're not understanding the complexity of the body or the complexity of exercise. Now, the fact is that if you are doing an exercise and you call it all biceps, but meanwhile, 3 of the exercises that you're doing for biceps are actually working the brachialis and not the biceps, don't be surprised if you're not getting bicep size, right? So that's why I showed you that video just recently, a secret biceps exercise. I'm not saying that that exercise applies to everybody, but it's just a way of thinking outside the box to find out, how do I hit that brachia, right? That's the thing. You need to really go with that. So yeah, don't be afraid to experiment a bit. Don't be afraid to change things up. And I think sometimes people, they stick with the same thing over and over and over again because they're afraid of losing the gains they've gotten. But you know what? No matter how much you've lost gains, if you lose gains, you get them back within a few days if you lose them. So don't worry about that. Don't let that dictate what you're going to do in your future workout. And I guarantee you'll make way more results in the long run. Like Garrison Bai, one of my Patreon supporters, he's been a long time guy, and he knows what he's doing when it comes to training, and he's doing like 50 reps now, and he tries different things all the time. And he's been making some great gains, and he said he already outgrew his Gallant shirt. I mentioned it in the video a while ago. So that's the key. Sometimes you'd be surprised, you know, sometimes something that never, ever, ever gave you results in your life. This is the weird thing. You'll become your own worst hypocrite. Something that never gave you results your whole life, and all of a sudden you try it, this technique again, and you did it 10 times in your life, but now you do it again, and all of a sudden gives you results. It's weird, right? Sometimes it's the right technique at the right time. So don't get too locked in your history either. Sometimes what's relevant to you now might be different than what was relevant to you 10 years ago. So that's another thing to take into account. So yeah, don't be afraid to experiment with some of those old exercises that you played around with and didn't really think they were that good. You know, maybe play around with them. See if there's a different mind-muscle connection going on right now. Maybe there's something new that's happening. So thanks to, let me see, thanks Han for the contribution there. Thanks Han K. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks, buddy. And Rowdy Games. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about there, buddy. Are you trolling there, Rowdy Games? What are you doing? Or are you talking about somebody specifically with somebody in the chat here? Cypher's asking, do I find it hard to eat enough calories, or is eating less on a caloric deficit more difficult for you? I find it's easier to eat less than it is to eat too much. Unless, of course, you say, Jason, you're just going to eat Haagen-Dazs and potato chips and whatever all day, then that's easy. But if I'm going to eat healthy, I find it's easier to eat on a deficit for me than to eat too much, because you know, but you know, if once you get into leaner body fat levels, like once you get down to 6-7% and 5%, you know, you start to get extremely hungry, and then at that point, you know, you become pretty ravenous. It's almost like you'll eat the fridge door. If there's nothing in the fridge, you'll actually eat the door off the fridge. That's how ravenous you get sometimes. So yeah, it depends on where you're at with the body fat level too. But I'm not a big eater, if you're gonna ask that. That's really the thing. I wasn't naturally a really big eater, although when I was a teenager, I'd eat a lot because I was growing. But naturally, I don't have a big appetite. Like in the morning, a protein shake or a couple bites of chicken or something is kind of what I do. But I'm not necessarily a person that can eat like a ton of food all at once and just keep on eating all day. If I could, maybe I would be a lot bigger, to tell you the truth, because I think eating was a big weak link in my training in the beginning stages for sure. Okay. Thanks, Randy Hernandez. Thanks for the super chat there. Okay, I'm just trying to see what this Okay, I'm just gonna. I just removed somebody there. Sorry, guys. Somebody trolling around. Okay. Let me just check. Jessica and Diol, what are your max lifts, bench, squat, and deadlift? Okay, I don't deadlift on the floor. Okay, Jessica, so I guess you're new here, right? Are you new here? You're probably new here. Bench press, the thing is my bench press got affected quite a bit when I dislocated my shoulder in hockey. And I also tore my other rotator cuff in hockey, getting hit from behind. And actually I was holding a guy as he was coming full speed from one angle, and I was trying to hold him up with a puck, and I underestimated how big this guy is. He was around 250 or something, and it just tore like part of my rotator cuff. So these things changed my bench form. So before that, I was doing over 400 pounds for, you know, a rep or two on the bench, like 405. But so I was a pretty good bencher most of my life. But when I dislocated the shoulders sit differently, so I'm kind of benching sideways on the bench. So that kind of changed my bench. So yeah, I was well over 405. I did 425 on the bench, so I probably could have did 440 at my best in bench press. So, and squat, I don't hit parallel in squats. It never felt right for me. So anytime I say what my max squat was, it's kind of irrelevant, because then somebody will say, well, you don't get parallel, so what's the point? It's just my body doesn't bend that way, right? So yeah, watch more videos, just start to understand. Okay, blasphemous, you look funny. Yeah, well, tell me something I don't know. Okay. Okay, so Renan, okay, you're coming back to this. Okay. I mean, while you are lifting weights, your focus is in the muscles, but you are still breathing. That's the thing. Okay, let me just go back here. I gotta see what Renan is asking here. Okay. Asking about dantians. I want to answer his question because he donated. So okay, you're talking about the dantian. Okay, you're talking about Chinese. Okay, you're talking about Chinese medicine. You're talking about qigong. Okay. Okay, so I don't, you know, you're mixing me up with the other channel, because I have two channels, and the other one deals with meditation and enlightenment and so forth. So the thing is, certain things just naturally develop, and you'll notice that certain breathing techniques naturally lead themselves to, or lend themselves to, being more effective under certain conditions. So you'll notice that you'll naturally breathe a certain way when you're bench pressing. Like you're like this. It's like you hold the breath for a period of time, and then you force it out at that end with the extreme effort. Now in squats, it's a little different. I did an actual video on this, how to breathe when you're squatting, because when you breathe in and you suck that stomach in, you're using that breath to help stabilize the torso as you're coming down on the squat and then coming up. So the breath also becomes an assister when it comes down to keeping that torso stable, right? So you can't really, qigong is more about when you're keeping the stomach really loose and you're breathing just like an animal and letting that belly be really loose. But that's not necessarily the way you do it when you're lifting weights, right? You don't want your belly to be super loose when you're lifting weights. You want everything to be tight. It's a different discipline. And that's probably why Bruce Lee messed his lower back up when he tried to apply the same techniques from Kung Fu to weight training, which is kind of funny because that happened to me as well, because I was a martial artist first. I was in karate for a number of years. And then I tried to apply the springy type back principle to deadlifting, and then I herniated a disc. So there's a different sort of principle involved in that. So you need to suck that stomach in, keep the back slightly arched, or if not at least flat. And then when you're doing a squat or deadlift or bent over row, and when you're bench pressing, when you breathe, you'll notice that as long as your shoulder's in the right position, you'll notice that just going, it's not as easy to push, right? It's not like doing cardio. It's more like, you know, it's like a like that, and that's basically how you push. It's like you center that energy right through the chest, right? I hope this helps you out a little bit. I hope it helps you. Yeah. Yeah, I got a Michael Jackson nose. You know why? Because I'm on a webcam, and the webcam kind of makes everything so wide. So if you look up photography, you know, this would be a good idea for you. Actually, this will be a learning moment for you, blasphemist. Okay, I can see why your name is blasphemist. If you look up cameras and you look up wide angle cameras, and you'll see that when you use a wide angle camera, it makes things that are closer more big and more pronounced, and then things in the background look farther away. So it distorts things. So that's the way webcams work too. I mean, I'm not saying I'm good looking, but I'm just saying it will change the way I look, and I'll make my nose look bigger and all this. So You're welcome for that teaching moment. We've turned from natural bodybuilding now to a photography channel. You're welcome for that. Thanks, Kung Fu Kickboxer. Thanks, buddy, for the $5 there. Thanks. Rudy Hernandez, how often do I cut my hair? Never. It seems like I never cut my hair, right? No. I don't cut that much, but lately I've been doing a different diet. I've been doing more fats and protein, and then basically having a half an avocado a day, maybe a whole avocado, and then eating turkey, lamb, like lamb sausage, and chicken breast. And I've been mixing that up together with some hot sauce, and then I'll have a few dates a day for my carbs, like say 8 dates or something. So I've been doing that, and I feel better, and I seem to be getting leaner. Now, is it a real cut? Is it a hardcore cut? No, I wouldn't call it a hardcore cut. But I like to eat where I feel like I'm getting a little bit leaner, but I'm not emaciated. My goal is not to compete. So if my goal was to compete, it would be different. But my goal is to eat so that I recover and I can train. That's really the most important thing. And to be able to look like I train at least, because if you're putting on excessive body fat, that's obviously doesn't look good anyway. So from a bodybuilding standpoint. So I'm cutting right now a little bit. Although yesterday I had my cheat meals and stuff, but I'm actually cutting a little bit now to get a little bit leaner. Fourth night or 4F. Okay, fourth night. Can dumbbell benching build just as much size as barbell? Oh yeah, for sure can. Yeah, for sure. I think 100% it can. Yeah. Yeah. Some people think bench press, like barbell bench press, is a waste of time for size. Some people. I like doing it. I grew up with it. It's almost like a religion to me in a way, but it doesn't mean that it's anywhere necessary. I mean, I think dumbbells, you can do everything. Yeah. Line of God, give us a detailed approach for long head tricep mass training. Anything where you're over the head and you're stretching the long head. See, anything over the head. I find that up here, you're getting more of this because of the angle. The force is going straight down. You see, like bunny ears, it's going straight down, right? But when you're laying down, so say you're looking down upon me and the gravity's coming this way, right? And I'm doing this, I'm actually stretching that long head. And if I keep the elbow back and do this, I'm going to be hitting that long head more. So sometimes people will move the arm back and forth, and that's okay too. But it'll include maybe a different amount of contraction. I think the amount of forward and back movement, or whether it has to be stable or not, will depend on how you're built and depend on where your insertion points are. So just take that into consideration. But anything over the head is going to help that long head of the tricep. Yeah, blasphemist. Okay, so you knew everything already. So then why do you talk stupid? So why are you being an idiot when it comes down to your comments? It's like, you don't sound like you really know too much if you're making, telling insults and insulting people for they don't meet your expectations based on how they look. I don't understand what kind of life you're living, or if you're offering medication or what, but yeah. Okay. So yeah, you can be nice or I can ban you. So you just decide there, big guy. All right. How much pounds meat would I eat each day? I'd say about 2 pounds of meat. 2 pounds of meat, yeah. About that. Blasphemous. So, okay, guys. Another stupid comments. Sunday. Okay, freedom of speech. Yeah. So, okay, freedom of speech. Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom to abuse, just so you know. Freedom of speech is fine. And the problem is, in this day and age, a lot of people are protected because they just talk, right? Back when I was growing up, back when dinosaurs ruled the earth, you couldn't say whatever you wanted. There would be a freedom of speech. Sure, you can get away with it legally, but it was only a matter of time before somebody popped you in the mouth because you're just being rude, right? So now, it's like, why do you want to just create enemies? Like, why not be friends? Isn't it easier? Like, you don't have to insult somebody. I mean, if you're so smart, why wouldn't you try to make an ally rather than make an enemy? Isn't an enemy more of a pain in the ass? So I would say just be nicer, man. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm not a dick. If you get to know me a little bit, you'll realize that I'm not really a dick and I'm not judging you. So, just be nicer. I think it's just, you'll see there's a lot more advantage to that than being a dick with me. But yeah, it's up to you. Richie Rich, yeah, glad you're liking the content, man. Thanks a lot. Okay, okay. Okay, okay, bro. Okay, thanks, Blasphemist. Okay, all right. So, okay, now that we're all friends here, now we can talk again. Let's just be friends. That's it. I mean, if I'm an ugly fuck, I'm okay with that. Don't think that I'm not okay with that. But just because you're drawing attention to it, you're actually wasting time because we're not answering the questions that people have. So, so yeah, sorry that my parents didn't make me good looking enough for you, but that's not my fault, really. You know, so let's get on with it. Okay, let me see here. Yeah, Renan, thanks a lot for supporting the channel there, Renan, and I really do appreciate the support. Thanks for giving the $50 and stuff. And if you ever want to become a Patreon, let me know. The link is down below. But I really do like helping people find their way, because in this day and age, I find a lot of people are really controlled and constrained. They're not allowed to create. And the basis of most of the bodybuilders back in the day, the advantage that they had was that they could train and take advice, but at the same time, they had their own little safety spot where they could actually find out what is really working for them, instead of being forced into the sheep mentality or the collective and say, I have to train this way or that way, based on what's working for other people and not necessarily what's genius for me. So if you watch all the pro bodybuilders, like, and I'm not talking about just the natural ones, just all of them, you'll see that each one trains a little differently, and you'll see that each one found what was special about their body and what was also weak about it, and they train towards that. They use their body in the proper way. It's like a musical instrument, right? If I try to play a guitar like a violin, it's going to sound like shit, right? So if you have a violin, why are you trying to play it like an electric guitar and you know, join Eddie Van Halen with the thing? Like, maybe it will sound good to somebody, but it's going to sound different, right? So it's the same thing with your body. And so this is the genius that's not shared. Like, when you embrace your internal genius and find that this relationship that you have with your own body can reveal some special things about how you should move. Like, one example is this. I realized at an early age that I could not squat or do leg movements the same way as other people. I tried to, but it just didn't seem to work. Like, when I was pushing off the knees on a leg press machine, you know, those old universal machines in the fitness centers, the recreation centers, and it was heavily knee dominant. It was like you're pushing off your toes, right, to get that thing to go forward. Well, I found that that would just kill my knees. It was like murder. Same thing with a hack squat. But then other people, they do those machines and they say, man, it's just perfect. All they do is feel their legs. They don't feel any knee pain whatsoever. Now, when I started squatting, I noticed that if I started to push off the knees like a Tom Platz type of squat, it would kill my knees. But as soon as I arched the back, sat back with the butt and pushed around the bum area, you know, used my hips more, then it felt like my knees were perfect. They're stable. Everything felt great. And my legs started to grow. So I'm still revisiting this to this day. I'm still realizing that, oh, I'm pushing off the knees a little bit too much. I got to sit that ass back. And yeah, it doesn't look pretty, but it works. So there's going to be these subtleties that need to be applied in your own body. And as you are free to explore this, you will get more results and less pain and less suffering. So I'm glad I can help people with this, because it seems like when I got on YouTube for the first time 7 or 8 years ago on the workout channel, all I was getting was flack. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. Like, a lot of people are being initiated into slavery here that's actually just destroying their bodies, but it's not helping them. So yeah, that's my basis of this channel. That's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to help people. And yeah, I'm trying to make it sustainable by selling some programs and some t-shirts here and there, and having a Patreon page. But the basis of what I'm doing is that if I can free people from this thinking inside, according to bodybuilding, it will also free their thinking up when it comes to other things as well. Okay, so Shadow Crone is saying, so I have a question. Would it be I have bad form in the bench press if I'm having my right shoulder tweaked just a little bit, where I get pain on the front delt mainly? It could be bad. It could be bad form. I mean, it could, okay, it can always be a number of things. Sometimes it's an injury from something else you did. Like, maybe you're playing sports years ago and you know, tore the labrum in the shoulder, or maybe there's a tear, or maybe there's just a neck that's out of place, or maybe there's a tight trap pulling on the shoulder funny. So then when you're working out, then this is just not working right. There can be a number of different things. You want to address your form, change your form if you can. If you can find a way to bench press where it doesn't hurt, find that. Get some massage therapy, make sure all the muscles are working properly, make sure your flexibility is right, and make sure you're also not walking around like this, like your shoulders are forward all the time, like your posture is bad. Because if your posture is bad, that means you're not sticking out the chest and you're not able to bench press with your shoulders in the retracted position. And that may also cause a lot more shoulder pain. So there could be a number of different things going on, but just make sure you have good posture. Make sure that you don't have muscle knots going on in your rotator cuff, and then adjust your form as you go. And sometimes as your shoulder heals, then maybe your form will change, right? But there's nothing wrong with also taking a week or two off of bench pressing and see if the pain subsides, right? Because maybe you just inflamed it through something else entirely. It's not even the gym related. So, check that out. I hope that helps you. Okay. How much fruits do I eat a day? I eat quite a bit of dates there, Nira. I eat about 10 dates a day, and I like to eat an apple, crunchy apple, or I don't eat a lot of bananas, though, which is surprising, right? But I don't eat a lot of bananas. I like apples and oranges, like mandarin oranges. I'm eating mandarin oranges right now. I eat 2 or 3 mandarin oranges a day, too. I take a multivitamin, too, to make sure, because, you do get deficient in vitamins and stuff. And I do take a liquid magnesium supplement as well. Actually, Renan Frederick is funny. Be nice to your enemies. Read Musashi. Miyamoto Musashi, The Book of Five Rings, right? I read that a long time ago when I was 16 years old. I needed to read that in order to do my black belt in karate. And I never did go for that grading, but I had to read that and do a report on it and everything. But yeah, no, I read that a long time ago. Yeah, it actually works pretty good too, because I applied some of that stuff in the street and it works pretty good. Take out the strongest enemy first too. If you must face an enemy, take out the strongest one, then you go after the weaker ones after that, right? So that's the other one. That's the one that I always remember, the one tenet of that book. Robot Junior, you need to go get on the Joe Rogan podcast. Yeah, I highly doubt he would want me on there. I have pretty much nothing to add to his channel. I mean, I don't see, the one thing about this is that YouTube and podcasts, everything's a business, right? So a lot of times these podcasts, they have people that are famous on. The reason why is because then those people bring an audience to them and they somehow monetize that. There would be really not too much for Joe to benefit from with having me on a podcast. He's like, oh, here's a random natural bodybuilder who looks very unimpressive compared to the Dorian Yateses of the world and whatever. I highly doubt there would be any reason for him to have me on there, unless it's just to make fun of me or something. Who knows? but you never know. Maybe it'll happen. You never know. Okay, let me see here what. Okay, favorite body part to train? I like traps. Yeah, traps are kind of cool, Jasper. And I understand why people would like training traps, because it's kind of a fun sort of exercise. It feels like not really a lot of risk of injury, not a lot of coordination involved either. It's just you just go nuts on it and just stretch it out. So traps are kind of fun. My favorite exercise, though, my favorite body part to train, it usually always was chest, and biceps was also a favorite body part, but when I dislocated the shoulder and then everything became more unstable, now it's almost like, you know how like the old computers back in 1982 or 83, the Commodore 64 and stuff, like they had 64 kilobytes of RAM or whatever. They had so much power for that time, but now in this day and age, they can't even, they couldn't even start your coffee maker. They have not enough power to actually even start a coffee maker. So it's kind of like that now. It feels like now when I fire stuff, when I train, it's almost like so much more information has to go through my nervous system, because there's so much more instability based on some of the injury history I had with the hockey career. So now it's like everything is almost like a brain workout for me when I'm training, because before the shoulders were both one system, they both would move the same way. Now one moves different than the other, and I'm constantly coordinating these things. So I think on a mental level, because there have been some studies that showed that exercise is actually more effective for building neural pathways than doing mathematics. So if that's true, I know I've built a lot of neural pathways just because I have to exercise and balance 2 different opposing forces at the same time. So long story short, this makes my bench press not my most favorite movement anymore, although it's enjoyable to me in a different way, I guess. Does that make sense? Yeah. Cool, Rudy. Cool. I'm glad you train the muscles, not the joints. That's right. And also, just don't be afraid to be an independent thinker. Like I always say this, and the reason why is because it's amazing like what happens when people start paying attention to their body. They start getting results and they start passing me, and it pisses me off because sometimes I'm like creating my own sort of downfall by giving you guys this free information because I'm giving people information about how to be better than me, and it just sucks because it's just like just watching people pass me all the time. I'm like, this sucks. But yeah, you know, maybe they'll remember me as they roll over me or walk on me with their big quadriceps, right? So I'll just lay across the puddle and then people don't get their feet wet. I guess that's what's going to happen. But the bottom line is that when you pay attention to yourself and you pay attention to your body and you pay attention to your own given situation, it's amazing how much discovery is possible. And all of a sudden you're doing some different angle or some different way or technique, and somebody else is saying, oh, that looks stupid. And you're like, no, but it works because all of a sudden you're getting this massive growth of the shock to a muscle because it's intense in a different area than you've ever trained before. It's crazy. It's almost like you come up with your own secret techniques that other people think are so stupid. So then they don't apply them, and then you end up being better than them. I mean, it happened in body when shows, and people are like, how do you get your hamstrings so big? Do you do a lot of leg curls? I'm like, actually, I do very little at leg curls. I don't do leg curls much at all. Oh, you must deadlift a lot then. I'm like, no, I deadlift kind of light. I do Romanian deadlifts, but I'm not doing, you know, heavy Romanians. But the way I squat, which is the first thing they make fun of, they say, geez, you don't go all the way down. What's wrong with your squat? Why are you doing that? You're doing it all wrong. Meanwhile, my legs were showing up as the best legs on stage because I was squatting the way I was squatting. I was working with my body, and then the hamstring development was coming out way more than other people's hamstrings. So it was an advantage. It looked like a disadvantage to them, to the narrow-minded, but it became an advantage. So this is the thing. I think every one of you has your advantages. If you're brave enough and have enough courage to step out and say, okay, I got to find that secret technique to my muscles and how they work and how they function in my body. The secret diet, the secret technique, the amount of sleep I need, you know, it's more about getting in tune with that. And you'll see that all the highest echelon athletes, they have their own specifics that they find that are individual to them that make them the top of their sport. They don't follow the template anymore. It's not like they just, you know, they don't train the same as everybody else, right? Okay, so Han K is saying he has good shoulders and tricep development, but very weak chest. Do you think my chest would grow if I stopped training my shoulders and triceps for a while and just focus on chest? Not necessarily. It might be the way that you're bench pressing, and also take it from me because, you know, me, I had a lot of challenge actually activating the chest since, you know, the dislocated shoulder and everything. Although my chest was never my weak link when I was competing, my shoulder was good and everything. But rules change. That's why I say you got to be like a tiger, always land on your feet and change the rules depending on the situation. So what I would say is start concentrating on pre-exhausting the chest before you train chest for a while and see what happens, such as doing the you know, the machine fly, where you get that squeeze up here and you get that squeeze up here. You don't have to go super heavy, but warm up first and then do sets of 20 reps or 15, 20 reps and just fatigue the shit out of that chest. Then go do your bench press workout and see what happens. And I think you'll get a lot more results in your chest from that. So the fact is your shoulder and your triceps are hitting failure first. And if that's happening, then they're the ones that are going to develop. It's called the weak link principle. I always talk about it in the videos. It's the weak link principle. Whatever is the weakest link, whatever is the thing that gives out first, that's the thing that's going to grow the most. So this is something for you to take into account when you're training. So make sure the chest is the one hitting failure. And if your chest isn't hitting failure, your triceps hitting failure first, or your delts, that means you need to change your technique, maybe widen up your grip a little bit or something and see what happens. Maybe narrowing the grip. I don't know. It depends on how you're built. So experiment with that and see. Okay, Andrew Rowe. Hey, man. What do you? So he's one of my Patreon supporters. So Andrew, nice, welcome here, man. And I'm glad to see that you didn't leave your wife because Yoda forced you to. Anyway, so okay, so you tore your pec on a relatively easy bench and kind of lost your nerve doing bench press since. In your opinion, is it possible to return to heavy pressing after that type of injury? Okay, it depends how much of a tear. I don't know how much of a tear you had. Is it a full tear, partial tear? I'm guessing it was a partial tear if you didn't have surgery to have it reattached. But the other thing is that once something tears, it attaches differently. So for instance, with my bicep, when I partially tore this with the chiropractor because he forced me into a lock position, not knowing I could hyperextend my arm, right? See that? I can bend backwards. And then saying resist 100% as hard as you can while I pull, don't worry, it won't be hard. And then he yanked my arm and then, you know, partially tore it. Now I'm always weak in the preacher curl here. It gets stronger. It can get stronger, but it's never as strong as this arm. This arm's way stronger than this one, like, you know, about 30% stronger. So you're going to have a strength and balance there. And I would say you can bench, but I would never, you don't have to mess around with 2 reps or 3 reps anyway on the bench in order to get gains. I mean, that's really the thing. You don't have to do that. So can you return to bench? Yes, you could. There's no reason why you couldn't. It just will feel different. And you'll notice that your balance will be different. And yeah, there'll be some imbalances because one arm now is not going to be as helped with the pec. The pec's not going to do as much of a job. So then the delt might have to come in and the tricep might have to come in to do part of that work that the pec can't do. Because it's just like a teeter-totter, right? If the string is attached here instead of here, it can generate the same force from the pec itself, but it won't pull the arm as hard. It's just normal physics, right? So yeah, you're going to have some imbalances for sure, and you might have to work around that a little bit. But that's just the name of the game, right? Welcome to my world, man. It's just that's the way it is, right? Yeah. Okay, let me just go through the questions here. Okay. Yeah, Winter Nira, I should do a Q&A with my brother. I don't know. I don't really like my brother too much sometimes. Sometimes I love him. He's a good guy. He's a good guy all in all. Jamie, my brother's a good guy, so he's probably watching right now. You're a good guy, Jamie. You're a good guy. But you're an asshole sometimes, so yeah. I can't give Jamie the keys to the kingdom yet. He's a great naturopath, though. If you need a naturopath, you need to go see my brother, 100%. He works at a Pitt Meadows at Rejuvenate Naturopathic Clinic, so really good. I saw in the Facebook group he was talking about magnesium and vitamin D and everything with somebody in the group. Jamie really knows his stuff when it comes down to that stuff. So, you know, if you see him commenting in the Facebook group, then yeah, pay attention to what he's saying. He does say some pretty smart stuff. So he doesn't really like getting on camera that much either. So one day we may do a chat or something like that if he has a subject he wants to talk about. So I'll keep that in mind. We'll see what happens. Yeah, thanks, Robot Jr. About the Joe Rogan interview. Feel free to send him a video or a message talking about how natural Gallant bodybuilding has changed your life, how you went from drowning kittens in the river to now saving puppy dogs from burning houses and all that. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Hey, I'm all open. If you want to promote me to Joe Rogan and see if he wants to have me on there, no problem. But I doubt that's going to happen. But thanks. Okay, Rob Green, what's the heaviest I've been off season? 212, and I was pretty lean at that time, actually. That was at the peak, I'd say. It was after I competed, and 4 years after I competed, I was really, you know, still going strong with my training. I had just dislocated the shoulder just a little while earlier, and so the full effect of that injury hadn't quite rippled down. But I was pretty good. Yeah, I was probably 212, and I was pretty strong. Yeah, I was pretty happy with how I looked then. Okay, Mohammed Salim. My training partner and I have been training the Gallantian way, and we don't want to tell others so we could surpass the other guys. But we've been sharing your stuff with everyone in my gym now. Yeah, I understand, Mohammed, because the thing is that it's amazing. Like I used to train clients, and when I was training clients, sometimes because they'd be training the normal way they were taught, you know, ass to the grass squat, or they bench press, and they'd overstretching their shoulders when they're doing dumbbell bench and stuff, trying to do everything properly. And then they come to me and I say, well, no, okay, keep the constant tension, do this, do that. And then they start putting on muscle, right? And everybody that trained with me all of a sudden started growing an ass. Like their butt all of a sudden will start growing. They get these glutes and stuff. And people are like, where's this glutes come from? Well, I said, well, constant tension with legs and lunges and the one-legged stuff and everything. A lot of the stuff I was doing in the gym was actually creating results in these other people. And I was like, I felt kind of torn because I was training these people and they're getting results, but I'm like, man, some of them are starting to look better than I am. I don't like this very much. So back in the day, it was like I was kind of torn. So, but that's the thing. Once you help people find their own individual sort of groove, you know, that sweet spot, right? Because somebody commented in the YouTube channel, they said that the partial reps don't work for them or constant tension. And I'm like, well, and somebody else, rightfully so, commented, said, well, maybe you haven't found that sweet spot yet, and that's why it's not working. Because if the muscle is absolutely totally taxed and the muscle is what quits, not the nervous system, but the muscle itself just cannot contract anymore because it's so fatigued, exhausted, burning, or just torn apart, it's got to adapt. It has to. And yeah, these techniques work for sure. Kung Fu Kickboxer, am I still taking a whey shake regularly? Yes, yes, I am. I still take one a day. I just ran out yesterday, so you must know. You must be like psychically connected. I just ran out of protein, but I do take protein powder once a day, maybe twice a day, once or twice. Yeah. Andrew, so that helped you out there, Andrew? I hope it helped. Andrew's the guy that did the funny video a couple of videos ago. Hey, Renan, you said you'll buy shits too, but I work out at home only. Okay. I guess you meant shirts. I don't sell shits yet. Just so you know, I have not stooped to that level, and I think that my channel is sustainable enough that I don't have to resort to selling my own shit. But I'm not against that because you never know. I mean, things change. Economies change. We don't know what's going to happen. Maybe there is an economy in this. I freaking hate that autocorrect, don't you? I hate autocorrect. I'm trying to message people, and sometimes I'm trying to use my own word, or whether it's a word that's just like slang or something, and then it puts in its own word and totally changes the context of the sentence, and sometimes it's incredibly insulting. I hate that. Okay, let me see here. What's next here, buddy? Okay. Okay, Rudy Hernandez, Natty Gallant, you got a music channel? I like your beats. It's part of what made me follow you. Oh, thanks, man. That's really nice of you to say, because some people say they hate my music. Some people love it. And, you know, I have a channel called Jason Gallant Music, but it's more for like spiritual music and mantra and just different things that I made there. But, and I made another channel called The Truth, which is basically just some channel I don't even use really, but I put a couple beats on there where I was just messing around, did some hip hop stuff and stuff. And I made a Thunderdog song on there and In the Ridge, you know. So yeah, that was just me experimenting. But really what I do is I put my music on this channel. So when I come out with a new album, the album should be out in the next month or so. I know I've been saying this for a while. I got to do a few new beats. I'm not going to use one song that I made. I can't use it because it was with an artist on there and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to have to make an extra song. So that's going to take me a little while. So but once that comes out, then I make a video and then I just show previews of the songs on this channel and I put it up so you guys can see the preview. So if you're interested in buying it, you can go to my website and stuff. So, but yeah, I will be doing some more workout stuff with music in the background and things too, because I do enjoy the music part of this whole thing too. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Oh, thanks, Brondale. Yeah. No, yeah, Brandon, I know you meant shirts. I know, I was just kidding around with you. MontFit, do we think getting stronger is needed for muscle growth? Yes, I do. And MontFit, I have over 500 videos now on this channel. I recommend you watch them. You will learn a tremendous amount. And I talk about this. And I think one video is called, do you need to get stronger in order to gain muscle? So yeah, you need to get stronger. You don't necessarily need to have a 1 rep max though. You know what I'm saying? Like some people think getting stronger means they have to do 1 rep maxes. I'm saying you need to get stronger, say in 10 reps. Say you're doing 10 reps and one day you're doing 10 reps with 125 and then, you know, several months later or several years later, you're doing it with 225. That's stronger. That's still a strength increase, you see? So it doesn't have to be with the insane rep ranges of 1 rep. I find that's too hard on the body, doing the 1 rep max all the time, pyramiding up to that. That causes more injuries and problems with people than it does help. So in a lot of cases, there are exceptions, and I'm open to that. Everybody's built different, like I say. But the fact is that as a general rule, I say you need to get stronger. Yes, you need to use heavier weights in order to grow muscle and be able to rep out with those heavier weights. You built, okay, so Robot Junior saying you built a strong base from bodyweight exercise years before you entered the gym. Do you ever do handstand push-ups or any other bodyweight exercise or use them as superset? Sometimes. I don't use them that much because I find push-ups annoy me. My head's bouncing up and down and I don't know. I don't really like doing them because I can do so many of them, and I find that it's just unnecessary because I can burn out on the bench without the discomfort of just my head bouncing up and down or things moving past me too fast. You know what I'm saying? So but you know, dips, I do weighted dips and I do dips as well. I've done handstand push-ups too. If there's no gym around or anything, I do that too. But I just don't like putting sock prints on the wall or putting dirt on the wall with my feet. So yeah, I mean, calisthenics are still great for building some endurance fibers and stuff. And in some exercises, some strength stuff, because, you know, some stuff can be pretty challenging. But yeah, it's whatever way you stimulate the muscle is fine. It just might fit into a certain category of intensity based on how many reps you can get. Richie Rich, do I like to do weighted pull-ups? I do here and there, but lately I've been doing more just heavy pull-downs, mostly because I'm lazy, and sometimes when I strap that belt around my waist and my, parts are getting pushed around by that metal, and then I jump up on the rack, and then I, hurt myself, not from the weight itself, actually from the weight itself, but as a squeezing certain parts that don't feel so comfortable. Sometimes I just rather just jump on the lat pull down and do heavier weights. So, but yeah, I used to do weighted pull-ups, and I do them once in a while. I haven't done them that much lately, but yeah, they're awesome exercise. They're really good. Mr. Excessive, do I believe in counting calories? I don't believe counting calories. I don't believe in it myself because calories are not all created equal. But if it helps you get an idea of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, I say, yeah, do it. It still is relevant. It's still relevant. But don't think that calories are the end all, because what your calories are made up of, whether it's protein, fat, or carbs, that's also going to influence what happens in your body. It's not just straight calories. Yeah, thanks, Rudy. Yeah, thanks. I like having you around. I mean, having people around here is great. Regular guys that appreciate the creative part of this whole thing, as well as just, just talking about training. Sometimes it's good to have other excuses to interact, such as music and things too, right? Okay, so is T3 necessary hormone for someone with no thyroid? I'm not a doctor, Alina, so I would say that would probably be a better question for my brother. So I can't really say for sure. I don't know. I really don't know enough about thyroid conditions and things. But it's possible. It is possible. I mean, because if that is something that is necessary, because it is produced by the thyroid in order to regulate your metabolism. So it is possible that's necessary, but I don't know for sure. So you'd have to talk to somebody more qualified for that. Yeah, Muhammad Salim. Yeah, you might be coming out to BC at some point. Where are you from there, Muhammad? Where are you living now? Robot Junior, I don't really watch bodybuilding channels too much. Sometimes I'll watch just a random channel that'll pop up or whatever, like Dexter Jackson or something like that, just because I like seeing the muscle mass. It's kind of fun to see. But I don't necessarily watch any bodybuilding channels. I find a lot of them, not all of them. There's a few that are actually pretty smart, but there's a lot of them that are they're so stupid. I just want to, honestly, it's just all I can do not to comment, and I try not to go into somebody else's yard and disrupt their life. But it's hard for me when I see some of these channels that are touting fanatical thinking. Some of the channels, they're just so fanatical. I got cat hair on my nose. You wonder what's going on here. Some of the channels are so fanatical about you have to do this or you have to do that, and it's like they're 5-year-olds running around talking about how to be a fireman. It's just annoying for me to listen to. Not all of them are like that, but there's a few, and some of them are really, really popular. And it just is so. It's like it's the opposite of what I'm teaching on this channel and what I found to be true over the last 3 decades of training. So. What are my thoughts about full body circuit training to grow? Watch my video on how much rest you need between sets and super sets versus straight sets. It's another video to watch. Circuit training can work great if you're not out of breath so much that becomes the weak link in your training. So there's a couple factors that might be a consideration in this. One is how good is your cardio? Another is how much rest in between each exercise in the circuit are you having? And another is what body parts are you training? Because obviously training back or legs is going to have a much more energetic burden. It's going to have a much more energetic impact than, say, just training biceps. So if you're doing a lot of leg movements, like as you're doing walking lunges and stuff, I mean, if you do a full set of walking lunges and you're just killing yourself, good luck going and doing some bent over rows after that without puking in a bucket, right? So if your cardio becomes the weak link, then you're not necessarily pushing the muscles. Now, short term, this might be a great way to burn some fat, or maybe it's a great way to hit some endurance fibers or shock the system. I'm not saying that's not relevant, but at the same time, just know that it's not going to include everything. And some people, they get caught in a circuit training where if I'm out of breath, then I'm working out hard. That's not weight training. That's cardio. That's exercise for the sake of exercise, but it's not exercise with strategy, and it's not necessarily going to gain you more muscle. It might burn a lot of calories, but it's not necessarily going to gain you more muscle, right? So, winter near, do I watch Mountain Dog? No, I don't. Yeah. Oh, Mohammed, you're in the Big Apple there, New York, eh? Yeah. Nice. New York, great. Nice people in New York. You know, when I went there to train, I see all these movies, you know, back in 2000, you know, back in the 80s, you know, as kids and Canadian kids, right? You see the Ninja Turtles, and you see these different people in New York, and people in New York are supposedly rude in the movies and all this stuff, right? And then you go to New York, and everybody was so polite to me and so nice. Police officers, so nice. Everybody's so nice in Manhattan. I was like, wow, man, I want to live in New York now. These people are really nice. Like, what the hell? So those movies lied to me, damn it. They lied. Yeah. Okay, so when doing overhead presses with dumbbells, I find that using a neutral grip is easier on the shoulder impingement. Does that still activate the shoulder good enough for hypertrophy? I should ask you, has it activated the shoulder good enough for hypertrophy? Are you noticing any gains? Are you noticing that your shoulder feels good? I mean, the thing is, if you're getting impingement from the other way, I guess you don't really have a choice, right? The only choice you have is to change your form towards what does work. So I would concentrate more on that rather than being worried about wasting your time. Find a way that, first of all, allows you to do it. Also find a way to fix an impingement if that is happening. If there's something you can do about that, maybe there is, you know, some massage, maybe chiropractic, whatever. Maybe something's going on in there that you can fix. Maybe there's a muscle imbalance. Maybe you need to do some rotator cuff exercises. But if all those things don't work and it's just an individual way that you're built issue going on, then yeah, do it the way that doesn't create so much pain. That just makes sense. And you'll get gains overall with it. And I've never seen somebody ever, or at least very rarely, have front delt size issues. I mean, because you work the front delt during bench press too, right? So yeah, don't worry about that too much. Mr. Excessive, how much time do I spend in the gym on average per session? Anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half, somewhere around there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Shakti Shaker saying to the lady that her thyroid conversion to T3 is likely suboptimal. Okay. Sim W, do I take SARMs, bro? No, I don't. That's not natural bodybuilding, so I don't take that shit. So the first hint should say, you know, it's natural Gallant bodybuilding. Natural, which means no drugs. And SARMs really are drugs. They're supposedly no side effects, but you know what? I've seen a lot of movies in my time, and you know that whole deal with the devil thing. When something comes too easy, then there's a price you pay. You just don't know what the price is at first. And that's what I feel about SARMs. I think there's probably going to be something that comes out about that at some point, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't want to play around with that stuff, right? I'd rather find the right diet for me and the right technique, and that's it. You know, so yeah, okay. William Mead. Okay, so yeah, William Mead, just conduct your own experiment, William, and don't be afraid to find out. Go to that realm of discovery. Find out whether that is really working for you or not. Don't be afraid to do a neutral grip. If that feels right, then do that for a while. You know, and I've had times sometimes where a certain exercise just doesn't feel right to do a certain way, and it feels right to do another way. And then after I do it that other way for a period of time, then sometimes the strength comes in the other area, and now I can do it the other way now. So sometimes you have to rehabilitate in whatever way you can, not necessarily try to do things like a bird flying into a window over and over again with the window's not open, you know, and then flies in there and kills itself. Sometimes it's better to concentrate on something else. Just fly around the room for a bit. Try not to go out the window, right? Okay, Alina. Okay, I can't see the picture, but okay, I can't pronounce your name then. Alina sounds like. Anyway, I'm sorry about that, Alina. If you're a 29-year-old dude, sorry, man. It's hard to tell just from text and you know, different names from all over the world. So. With upper body, do you switch up your exercises every time, or are there certain exercises you consistently hit every time you hit it? No, I do change things quite a bit. I will do bench press quite a bit, but then I'll do incline, and then sometimes I'll do flat dumbbell, and then I'll do the machine fly, and then that's for chest, right? Bicep curls, maybe I'll do cable curls at first, or maybe I'll do preacher curls, or maybe I'll do incline curls or flat bench curls. You know, so I do change the exercises quite a bit. Almost every time I go in the gym, I change the exercise. Not always, but almost. Yeah, thanks, Mr. Excessive. Thanks for the compliment. Yeah, my videos are golden, literally. Just imagine gold sprinkles now, just coming down. Just gold sprinkles. Gold sprinkles. No, thanks for helping me out anyway and sharing my stuff. Thanks to all of you who are sharing my videos out there, helping me get them out there. That really helps tremendously. So thanks a lot for that. If you can't support on Patreon or can't buy a t-shirt or anything, don't worry about that. But if you actually share my videos, that also really helps me out. So thank you. Clarissa Dalloway. This is a natural bodybuilding channel. So I don't take drugs of any kind. So I don't do that kind of crap. It's freaking dumb. Okay, so that's what I think about it. If you're asking, maybe you're just trolling. I don't know, but if you're not trolling, that's my opinion on it. It's stupid. Okay, so hey Jason, in case you train high reps, like 15 to 30 reps per set, how many sets would you recommend per muscle group? Just in general, every person is different. Okay, thanks. For myself, I find about 5 to 8 sets is about. Sorry, 5 to 8 sets is about ideal. 5 to 8 sets. 20 to 30 reps you might find, depending on what you're doing. If you're doing legs though, 30 reps, you might get burned out faster because when you're using those bigger body parts, there's a lot more of an energetic burden on the body. So maybe only 4 sets, and you're pretty much just done with that exercise. So it depends on the exercise, but yeah, 5 to 8 sets usually. Okay, Clarissa, I'll see you later, you little shit. So, okay, all right. I love trolls. I like the power of the button. The power of the button. I still don't have the Bolo app. I'm still waiting for one of you to create the Bolo app where I can just reach through the screen and just like that's it and just start choking. It's like a force choke, kind of like Battlefield and Star Wars there or Battlefront. Still waiting for that. Okay, a best way to improve arm development. You've been working out 7 years naturally, hitting a wall right now. Yeah, check out my secrets to building biceps, a video that might help you. Sometimes it's about the positioning of the arm, and sometimes it's whether it's back or front or whatever. So just check out that video. You might get something out of it. The secret to training biceps. Yeah, Robert Jr. You just being an idiot, just talking about drugs and whatever. It's just stupid. So okay, it's easy for people to. Okay, all right. So let me see. From experience, I haven't been able to lift as heavy if I train some muscles twice per week. First workout, I feel much stronger. Second, I just lift with higher reps. I do upper body. Yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're strong. You don't have to be stronger every moment. Like, watch my video that I just made, Elena. I hope I'm saying your name right, so forgive me if I'm not. I made a video on, do you have to PR or have a personal record every day? The thing is that there's something called the training burden, right? Where you are not at your peak when you're in your training phase. So there is a cumulative effect of soreness or fatigue by doing multiple workouts together. And they together create a bigger result. Let's put it that way. They create a bigger result because it's like 2 training sessions become 1. So it's not like you're trying to say, okay, I got to be at my peak every single training session. Okay, let me see here. Okay, I don't know what somebody's asking here. Sorry, I gotta just, I don't know what you're saying, Celtic Pride, and I don't know why you're saying it, so I'm not gonna start a war on here just by talking about other people. I'm not gonna do that. Okay, so, all right, just had to hide some guys' comments here because they're just dumb, so. Okay, working full body, should I work out legs first or last? I think changing it up from time to time is good, but I usually will train upper body first and then go to legs after because if I have the motivation anyway. If I feel extremely lazy that day and I think that if I do upper body first, I'm not going to go and do legs because I'm too tired and I don't have the motivation, then I'll train legs first. But I usually like to do the upper body first. It's easy to get the blood in there. And I find that after I train legs, it's really hard for me to get the upper body going, because it's almost like the legs start taking all the recovery. So I find that training upper body first seems to be better, and for me anyway. So NK, I've been natural my whole life, so I don't know what you're talking about. I was never addicted to anything, so okay, so bye-bye. Okay, so Mohammed's saying I should really consider promoting my channel on Instagram. I promoted a bit on there, but it's like I said, it's another thing. It's another thing to do, right? So sometimes, because the one thing about doing the whole Instagram thing is that you have to actually put your you have to put your videos in a different format, and then you have to send them, email them to yourself, then you upload them to Instagram. So it's a bit of another workflow. So I haven't really worked on doing a lot of video stuff on Instagram, because it's also inundated with a lot of people with, there's not really a lot of intimacy. I find it's just scroll, like just quick bits of information, but there's not really relationship there as much. So I find it's a totally different demographic, different audience, right? Different things. So I don't know if it would be really good for my content, but I do put some on there once in a while. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Champus, for helping promote my channel. Thank you. Shashank Kumar. Hi, Jason. Lots of love from India. Would like to know your views on supplements, which natural bodybuilders should take. I think that creatine, glutamine, branched-chain amino acids, and protein powder are pretty much the stable ones. I mean, that's usually the most common ones. And you can experiment with these ones and see if they work well for you. There's other ones, of course, like, but I don't take them. But like HMB, and I've taken HMB before, and HMB is just a metabolite of leucine, which is found in milk and all that. And that one, some people find it helps a lot with muscle soreness and really helps them with their training. But I'm not. I did a video on supplements actually a little while ago, but mainly glutamine and branched-chain amino acids and whey protein is what I take. Yeah. Christus Papanicolaou, or whatever, optimal volume for muscle growth found on internet sites or internet states, 120 to 60 reps, big muscle, and 60 to 30 reps for small muscle. Okay, I don't know if you're talking about sets or reps. I think you're talking about sets. I don't know. You're going to have to get more specific with it. But either way, I'm going to say this. There's no set rule, but I think a lot of people try to make up rules because it allows them to brand themselves and then sell a program or sell a technique and say, okay, this is the way you do it. So it's a template, right? But there's the type of set makes a difference. If you use 500 pounds for 4 reps, right? Or 200 pounds for 30 reps, that's going to have a totally different training effect in your body, right? If we take it to an extreme, let's say you do 10 pounds for 1,000 reps, or 600 pounds for the amount of reps that it takes to hit that same, weight that they both add up to as far as volume goes. It's going to have a totally different effect on the body. So you cannot say just straight sets are all going to be, you do this many sets and that's it. You get this amount of growth. You have to actually include intensity as well. You have to take that into account, because I'll tell you right now, when I did squats with 585 and then did squats with 400, totally different training effect in the body, totally different feeling on the entire system, nervous system, everything. The amount of damage that's done from that heavier weight is on another level. It's like exponential. So it's really tough to say, you just can't do it. You just can't say sets are sets. They're different. They each have their own character depending on the weight and intensity you're using. So. Okay, so let me see here. Do I think it's easy for women to gain muscle mass naturally? No, it's not easy. And the problem is, a lot of the women out there that are promoting bodybuilding, a lot of them are not natural. And it's tragic. It's tragic. It's not just tragic. It's tragic. It's a tragedy, I think. So yeah, it's not easy. I mean, I'm not saying you can't gain muscle. Yes, you can. Yeah, you work hard, you can gain, but it doesn't mean that yeah, like I said, that's a whole other discussion, so I won't get into that too much. But okay, reps and grooves. Did I compete in Natural Universe Worlds? Reps and grooves. Have you been around here for a while? I mean, look at my career highlights video. I talk about that. I competed at the Natural Universe in different federations for several years. Actually, I competed in the Natural Universe in WNBF and the ABA. 2 years in the ABA and 1 in the Natural Universe Pros in the WNBF. So, yeah. Rena and Frederick, what do I think about GABA and melatonin? I don't use them. So, yeah. Okay, Sim W, do I train when you're still sore? I actually made a video on that called Do You Train When You're Sore? Or Should You Train When You're Sore? So watch that if you want. But I train when I'm slightly sore, for sure. Sometimes if the muscle's slightly sore, I find I get a better workout in that muscle than if it's just totally recovered, 100%. So yeah, I do that. Do I recommend powerlifting shoes for squats? I actually have a video on this. What type of shoes should you wear for squats? And just check that video out. I use skate shoes, actually, just flat shoes. The ones with heels and stuff in them, I find that people use that because they're trying to get depth and they're trying to basically be, have more movement on the knees. But I find that's murder on my knees. My knees just don't like that type of movement, right? So yeah, I don't do that. I don't think squat shoes really help for squats, except for they help with depth. And depth in powerlifting is what people want. They want to basically hit that parallel. So they want to bend that knee enough so that way the parallel happens. But do I think it's a natural or a better way for joint integrity and for long-term training? I don't think so. For me, every time I had a heel in a shoe, it actually killed my knees. So that might be just me. So you have to go with how you feel on that. So for convenience, could substituting meat for whey work as long as you eat greens and carbs? So thanks, Kung Fu Kickboxer, for the $5. And I would say $5. I would say that substituting meat for whey won't be exactly the same because whey is in and out of your system so fast. Okay, so whey protein is not going to have the same positive effect on your system where the protein is released over time. So when you add whey to your diet on top of eating the meat, then it adds that extra protein boost from time to time. But natural food is the best for stabilizing the blood sugar and stuff. So in an emergency, yeah, take the whey for sure, but don't substitute it on purpose, right? I mean, the priority is the real food. That's what has to happen. Okay, the dumbbells that I have are adjustable, meaning I have to use 25-pound plates to go heavier. So it reduces the range of motion. Do you think it matters that much for building size in the long run? Everything matters. Everything can be taken into consideration, but it doesn't mean that it will prevent you from training, period. I mean, I would say do what you can. Do what you can, do what's available, use what's available to you, right? So if all you have is that option, then you have no choice. You'll still be able to put on some more size from it, even if your range of motion is reduced. Why should I be on television there, Renan? Why do you think I should be on television? I'm kind of on television. I'm on YouTube, so... A Funka for a fan from Sweden. So, hey, welcome from Sweden, buddy. Do I need to cut back a volume on strong points to increase weak points? That can be a technique. And I talked about this actually, where sometimes if you have overpowering points, like especially with leg development and back development, say they're just taking all your recovery when you go do a heavy squat workout or deadlift workout, it's taking all your recovery. And then your biceps aren't growing. And you're wondering why? Well, I watched a guy who basically had an accident and he had his leg broken and he couldn't train upper body for 6 months because of a rod that was put in his leg and everything. And the funny thing is that he started to put on upper body gains the first time in a long time, like on a different level, because his legs were no longer taking all of the recovery resources. So it can be a technique that I would apply for short term for sure. Is there any benefit to using fast carbs? Supposedly there is a benefit, Arrest Cosmos, to using fast carbs after your workout, such as like high glycemic index carbs. Yeah, your body seems to store them and it creates more of an anabolic effect and a faster healing or faster recovery. So, that's what's told to me. I'm assuming there's something to it. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any research to back it up, but I'm sure there is a lot of research on it actually. Okay, how do I like to cook your chicken? In the oven, on the stove? Tell us about how you cook your food. Okay, I like to cook mine on a barbecue. Now, I'm not saying that's the best way, but because it gets seared on the outside, it keeps more of the moisture in, and I find it's more bearable to have in the fridge for a day or two and then take a chicken breast out whenever I need it. But yeah, somebody was making fun of how I cook chicken in the pan the other day. They're saying, oh, it's just atrocious because I'm mixing the zucchini in with the chicken and all this, and they're saying, man, you're doing it all wrong. What's wrong with you? But yeah, I find that barbecuing the chicken is better long term when it comes down to being able to store it for a couple days. But you know, I don't like the gas fumes and stuff, so maybe that's a bad thing health wise. But I do like the taste of it more that way. Yeah. Yeah, Renan Frederick, I still think that there's more in that old Musashi's book. Something that you don't want to tell us. Yeah, I'm sure there's a ton more in that book that I don't know. Actually, not just don't want to tell you, but yeah, there's lots of techniques and skills and things that I apply to life. I'm sure that I think are nothing, but maybe would be applicable to each one of you. But I don't, you know, we'll see if the question comes up, and maybe I'll be able to help you with it. But what's high glycemic? White rice, potatoes. How about soda? Okay, potatoes aren't as high glycemic as white rice. Rice cakes are high glycemic, and white bread really high glycemic. Certain types of pasta can be high glycemic, but straight sugar like glucose can also be like soda for sure is high glycemic. Yeah, yeah. Bob Jenkins, I'm sure I've used a few Nautilus machines in my time, although I can't remember the name brands of different machines I jump on. But yeah, yeah, Nautilus is a good name brand in the industry for sure. I think SimW, I made a video on intermittent fasting. I think I did about the fact that I don't do it. Use butter to cook for testosterone. You know what, Renan? The thing is, I don't cook with fats and things. I find that fats from meat are different than fats from milk. And I've talked to some people about this, and I do, and I'm sure science supports this, but each fat is different, and a fat that's naturally occurring in meat will be different than a fat that's in a butter or fat that's in a seed. Although science will say omega-6 is omega-6 or omega this or that is the same, but there is something different. So I try to stay away from liquid fats or adding butters and things because I find I get fat that way. But if I just have the naturally occurring fat that's in the meat, it seems like I'm okay. Yeah, thanks, Shakti Shaker. Yeah, basmati rice is relatively low glycemic. Not that he would know. Hey, Shakti. I'm just bugging him. I know who Shakti Shaker is. So, uh, big C3. Is it best to do rep work sets to gain strength or low max reps? Both. Both in the long term for training, I think. You want to do probably a higher percentage of low max reps, like lower amount of reps. If you say your main focus is strength, but I would say still both. Yeah. Official B-Bay. Hey, Jason, I just started working out again. I'm sore from my last workout yesterday. Should I train with higher reps when I'm sore? I would say, yeah. I mean, you would stay with higher reps and a slower cadence in your training to make sure you don't pull or tear anything. Because when you're tight, that's when you're going to be more susceptible to injury. So if you're slightly sore, yeah, you can train. But if you're really sore, then just take the day off that body part and train a different one, I'd say. Okay, Alan, so what do I eat? What do I eat on a regular basis? Well, what I'm eating now is chicken breast, lamb sausage, turkey sausage, uh, duck sausage. Sometimes I'm eating that, and then I'm eating some dates and some avocado. That's basically mainly what I'm eating. Keith Larson, what's the best power cage for a garage gym? I don't know what the best one is, but the one that I use, I have in a video on what type of equipment you should use for a home gym. It's in a video, Keith. So I have links there and everything to all the stuff that I use in my gym. So take a look at that and see if that helps you out. What do you think of 36 raw yolks for testosterone boosts? Uh, I don't know if it's going to give you a testosterone boost or not. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, there's lots of little trendy things that people say. Obviously, having enough calories in your diet and cholesterol is necessary. But once you start eating so much of a certain thing that you just get fat, I don't know, that could be counterproductive. But yeah, the question is just try it, see what happens. Just do it for a while and see what happens to your body. I mean, I'm not here to tell you to not do it because it might work. It depends on what you're deficient in, I think. It depends on what your body needs. And if your body isn't getting what it needs, then that's that's going to be that magic thing for you, right? But it doesn't mean that 36 egg yolks is what somebody should be taking in. Now, that said, if somebody has not enough calories in their diet and they need to eat more food, then yeah, that would probably do it. 36 egg yolks, as long as they're also getting enough protein, right? Shadow Clone, have I ever done a deload week every now and then? Yeah, sometimes I just don't train. Yeah, I have done that for sure. Sometimes I've had to, I just feel achy or I just feel like nothing's really recovering. I just need to take a week off. I've done that, yeah. Robot Junior, you eat 3 to 4 eggs every morning. Is that too many? I've heard about cholesterol being an issue with too many eggs. No, don't worry about that. Cholesterol is not even a consideration. According to some naturopaths that I know, and my brother included, the cholesterol is not even a consideration when it comes down to heart problems or anything. Although there's been a big, myth about cholesterol in the medical community for decades. Cholesterol is not even a factor, so don't even worry about it. Alan, I'm not on keto. No, I wouldn't be on keto because I still have dates and I still have some sugar here and there or some milk. So yeah, a piece of fruit. So I'm not a keto diet guy. No. If you eat 5 eggs a day, you'll turn into chicken. Okay, so it's not 4, it's 5. Okay, at least we're straight on that. Okay, so good. Yeah, that's funny. All right. Well, I think I've answered all your questions. Well, I think I've done a pretty good job tonight. Any more questions, everybody? Oh, Justin Yee, I see your question here. You said, how do you break out of plateaus? Watch my video, how to get over plateaus. I have a full video on that. So that'll definitely help you out. Rapid fire, Gallant. Yeah, it's a rapid fire. It's like, that's right. Okay, so Bob Jenkins is asking thoughts on direct forearm training. Okay, so direct forearm training, I never do. And the size of my forearms. It's just genetic for me. So I don't train forearms directly, where some guys, they do train them. But the funny thing is, I've seen a lot of guys do direct forearm training. And funny enough, a lot of them don't have any forearm development. So I don't really, I don't know if it really works as well as they say. But I'd say the best way to build forearms is to grip huge amounts of weight without wrist straps, just gripping that weight. That's a really great way to build forearms. And doing heavy curls and things, and maybe you're doing hammer curls and stuff, because then you're working this part of the forearm. So that would be one way, anyway, or 2 ways. Okay, so Shadow Clone saying, watch my video on back training, and he's been thinking about overhauling how he does back. He trains with biceps and traps, although I've been tempted to have separate workout days for muscles, back day, and everything. Yeah, the way you pull when you train back, and I'm going to be doing a video pretty soon on how to lat pull down properly, and because somebody requested that. But the fact is that if you're pulling with your arms and your delts and they're giving out, and you're also using a range of motion which demands that you use those body parts more so than the actual back itself, you're going to grow arms and shoulders, but you're not going to really grow a back. So it's really imperative that you find a way to stimulate that back and make sure the back is the one that's hitting failure, not the arms, because the arms basically are already getting pounded to death on your arm days, right? So yeah, a lot of people don't know how to train back. That's a fact. Back facts with Jason. Back facts. Not back fat, back facts. That'll be another video. Back facts with Jason. I think we got a series there. So great. All right. Well, I think this is it. I think we've done almost 2 hours on here. Thanks a lot to the few of you who have donated and helped me out here on this channel. Make sure that you follow me on Patreon under Natural Gallant Bodybuilding. And if you want to become a member on there, I let you know when I'm going to go live and do a video. And we give some tips on there. And I do a lot of lens type stuff. So I basically go on there and I give you little video clips of me working out at night and stuff like that if you're at a certain level on Patreon. So you get some extra footage that way. So hopefully this video helped you out. Hopefully my videos are helping you out. Thanks a lot for sharing them with your friends and stuff. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll jump online here at some point again in the future. I don't know when, but stay tuned. And make sure you click notifications down here below so that way you get the notifications when I do go live or when I put up a video. So thanks a lot for training. Yeah, thanks a lot for training, actually, because if you weren't training, you would be watching this video. But thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Yeah, have a good one there, Mohammed. Yeah. Now I don't know how to hang up. Oh, there we go. Now I know how to hang up.